2 wheels, total war, and 35 machines that held armies together. Some of these motorcycles were engineering masterpieces that armies copied, reverse engineered, and studied for decades. One of them was so small it was literally dropped from an aircraft inside a metal tube. Welcome to the complete guide to every major World War II motorcycle. 35 machines from every nation that mattered, every spec verified, every role explained. We have the BMW R75, one of the most famous German military motorcycles of World War II. It used a 745 cubic centimeter flat twin engine, a driven sidecar wheel, a locking differential, low-range gearing, and even reverse. Basically, it was not just a motorcycle with a sidecar. It was a small off-road vehicle pretending to be a motorcycle. Next, we have the Zündapp KS750, the BMW R75's great rival, and in many ways, its equal. It used a 751 cubic centimeter flat twin engine and a powered sidecar layout built for mud, snow, and terrible roads. German engineering looked at normal roads and said, "No thank you, we prefer suffering." Let's continue with the BMW R71, a heavy 746 cubic centimeter side valve flat twin produced before and during the early war period. It was smoother and more road-focused than the later R75, but it became historically important because the Soviet M72 was based on the same basic design. So yes, this motorcycle quietly helped create an entire Soviet sidecar dynasty. We have the BMW R12, one of Germany's major pre-war and wartime heavy motorcycles. It used a 745 cubic centimeter side valve boxer engine and was known for its pressed steel frame and hydraulically damped telescopic front fork. It was not as advanced off-road as the R75, but it served in large numbers because armies love anything already available. Next, we have the Zundapp KS600, a powerful, heavy motorcycle built before the KS750 took the spotlight. It used a 597 cubic centimeter flat twin engine with shaft drive and strong road performance. Think of it as a serious older brother before the family became obsessed with sidecar wheel drive. Let's continue with the DKW NZ350, one of Germany's common middleweight motorcycles. It used a two-stroke single-cylinder engine of roughly 346 cubic centimeters and was valued for simplicity and easier maintenance. It was not glamorous, but in war, glamour usually breaks down first. We have the DKW RT125. A small two-stroke motorcycle with a 123 cubic centimeter engine. It was light, practical, and became one of the most copied motorcycle designs after World War II. Not bad for a little bike that looked like it should be delivering bread, not shaping post-war motorcycling. Next, we have the NSU 601 OSL, a German heavy single-cylinder motorcycle used mainly with a sidecar. It had a 562 cubic centimeter overhead valve engine and was used by the Wehrmacht before the more specialized sidecar machines became famous. It had solid power, but compared to the R75 and KS750, it was more workhorse than superstar. Let's continue with the NSU Kettenkrad, officially the SDKF-2. And yes, this thing barely counts as normal. It was a half-track motorcycle with a front wheel, tracks, and a 1.5-liter Opel engine. If a motorcycle and a tiny tank had a very strange child, this would be it. We have the BSA M20, one of Britain's most widely used military motorcycles. It used a 496 cubic centimeter side valve single cylinder and became famous for being slow, tough, and easy to keep alive. It was not fast, but it was dependable, which is more than can be said for many brilliant ideas from wartime committees. Next, we have the Norton 16H, a British military classic with a 490 cubic centimeter side valve single. It was used heavily for dispatch, escort, and general service roles across the British forces. It did not try to impress anyone, and that is exactly why it worked. Let's continue with the Norton Big 4, the big sidecar pulling brother of the Norton family. It used a 633 cubic centimeter side valve single and was often paired with a driven wheel sidecar outfit. It was heavy, slow, and useful, which sounds insulting until you remember that armies adore youthful. We have the Matchless G3L, one of Britain's most well-known 350 cubic centimeter military motorcycles. Its overhead valve single-cylinder engine and lighter frame made it more pleasant than many earlier British service bikes. It also became famous for its telescopic front forks, because apparently comfort was finally allowed to exist. Next, we have the Ariel WNG, a British 350 cubic centimeter overhead valve single made for military service. It was based on Ariel's proven civilian design, but adapted for war with practical fittings and rugged simplicity. It was not dramatic, and honestly, that was the whole point. Let's continue with the Triumph 3HW, a 343 cubic centimeter overhead valve single used by British forces. It came after Triumph's Coventry factory was badly damaged, so wartime production had to continue under very difficult conditions. The 3HW was proof that if Britain couldn't build motorcycles in peace, it would build them in chaos anyway. We have the Royal Enfield WD-RE, better known as the Flying Flea. It was a tiny 125 cubic centimeter two-stroke motorcycle designed for airborne troops and could be carried in gliders or dropped by parachute in a special cage. Calling it intimidating would be generous, but calling it clever would be completely fair. Next, we have the James ML, or Military Lightweight, another small British airborne motorcycle. It used a 125 cubic centimeter Villiers two-stroke engine and was made for portability more than power. Basically, it was a motorcycle that said, I can't fight a hill, but I can fit where the big bikes can't. Let's continue with the Excelsior Well bike, one of the strangest and smallest military motorcycles of World War II. It used a 98 cubic centimeter two-stroke engine and folded into an airborne container for special operations and paratroop use. It looked like a scooter that had been punished, but the idea was genuinely smart. We have the Harley-Davidson WLA, the classic American military motorcycle. It used a 45-inch, about 740 cubic centimeter, side valve V-twin and served widely with United States forces. Soldiers nicknamed it the Liberator, which sounds heroic for a machine that mostly delivered messages and swallowed dust. Next, we have the Harley-Davidson WLC, the Canadian military version of the WLA family. It used the same basic 45-inch flathead V-twin layout, but had detailed changes for Canadian and Commonwealth service. It was tough, familiar, and built in the practical style of, please just keep running. Let's continue with the Harley-Davidson XA, one of America's most interesting experimental military motorcycles. It used a flat twin engine and shaft drive, clearly influenced by the German BMW layout that performed well in harsh conditions. It was clever, cooler running, and promising, but the Jeep showed up and stole the whole meeting. We have the Indian 741B, Indian's most common military motorcycle of the war. It used a 500 cubic centimeter, 30.5 cubic inch, side valve B-twin based on the Junior Scout line. The United States Army wanted more power, but Commonwealth and Lend-Lease users still made good use of it. Next, we have the Indian 640B, a larger and stronger Indian military motorcycle than the 741B. It used a 45-inch, about 737 cubic centimeter, side valve V-twin and was closer to the displacement American military planners wanted. It was capable, but it never displaced the Harley-Davidson WLA as the dominant American service bike. Let's continue with the Indian 841. One of the most technically interesting American wartime motorcycles. It used a transverse 90-degree V-twin, shaft drive, and a desert warfare concept meant to answer the same problem as the Harley XA. Only around 1,000 were built for testing, because apparently the Army loved experiments until it had to buy them. We have the Soviet M72, a heavy sidecar motorcycle based on the BMW R71 pattern. It used a 746 cubic centimeter flat twin and became the foundation of Soviet heavy motorcycle production. It was not original, but it was rugged, and rugged tends to win arguments on bad roads. Next, we have the TIZ AM600, a Soviet heavy motorcycle used before and during the early war period. It had a 595 cubic centimeter side valve single-cylinder engine and was often used with a sidecar. It was strong but outdated, which is a polite way of saying the M72 made it look old very quickly. Let's continue with the PMZ A750, another Soviet heavy motorcycle from the 1930s. It used a 746 cubic centimeter side valve V-twin inspired by American-style heavy motorcycles. It was ambitious, but it gained a reputation for being troublesome, so yes, ambition had a maintenance bill. We have the Moto Guzzi Alce, one of Italy's important military motorcycles. It used Moto Guzzi's distinctive horizontal single-cylinder engine in the 500 cubic centimeter class and served in reconnaissance, liaison, and convoy escort roles. It was not the fastest machine here, but it had that very Italian talent for looking stylish while doing hard work. Next, we have the Moto Guzzi Super Alce, a late-war and post-war evolution of the Alce family. It kept the famous horizontal single layout, but moved toward an overhead valve configuration for better performance. This one sits in a slightly confusing historical zone, because wartime routes and post-war service overlap like paperwork written during a blackout. Let's continue with the Moto Guzzi Trialce, a three-wheeled military carrier based on Alce mechanical parts. It used a roughly 500 cubic centimeter single-cylinder engine and was built to carry cargo, tow light loads, and support Italian units. It was less motorcycle and more tiny military mule, which is probably exactly what the army wanted. We have the Gilera Marte, an Italian 500 cubic centimeter military motorcycle developed from Gilera's LTE line. It appeared in solo and sidecar versions, including sidecar combinations with a driven wheel. It was sturdy and specialized, but it arrived into a war situation where Italy didn't exactly have time for a perfect rollout. Next, we have the Rikuo Type 97, Japan's heavy military motorcycle based on Harley-Davidson influence and local production. It used a large side valve V-twin of around 1,200 cubic centimeters and was commonly paired with a sidecar for Imperial Japanese forces. It was basically a Japanese-built Harley-style military rig, which makes World War II motorcycle history even stranger. Let's continue with the Gnome Rhone AX2, a French heavy military sidecar motorcycle. It used an 800 cubic centimeter flat twin engine and had a driven sidecar wheel for better traction. France built it for military use, and after occupation, German forces also made use of captured and continued production machines. We have the Belgian FN M12, one of the most advanced heavy sidecar motorcycles before the war. It used a 992 cubic centimeter flat twin engine and could be fitted with a driven sidecar wheel. It was so capable that other armies paid attention, because nothing says good design like your enemies wanting one too. Finally, we have the Nimbus Model 750 from Denmark. It used a 750 cubic centimeter air-cooled inline-4 engine with shaft drive, giving it a very different character from the singles and V-twins on this list. It served with Danish military and official users, proving that even a small country could bring something wonderfully unusual to the motorcycle world.